support Roland Martin Unfiltered, be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. The thing that we are dealing with here, and I want people to understand this, and I want people to not to completely misconstrue what I'm about to say. But while we were actually with the Warnock campaign, they had a brunch a little bit earlier for staffers, and we went by just to be with them and sharing their joy. And we saw this thing unfolding on the television. And I'll be honest, Monique, while this was happening, I literally was smiling. And the reason I was smiling is because I said, white America, 55% white women who voted for Donald Trump. I said, this on y'all. Y'all can't even include us in the conversation. For all the people who said this could never happen, I was sitting there saying, we told you. Black people told you. The hashtag we use, we tried to tell you. We told America, if you elect this thug, what you are doing is you are letting this person into a power who will abuse the power. If y'all do this, what you are doing, you will cause serious harm. But see, Monique, they played footsie with the Tea Party. And they joined forces with them because they wanted power. Then they said, don't worry about it. We can control them. We got them. Then Obama finishes his term. Then Trump gets elected. Then you had the MAGItes. You had them. And then all of a sudden, and they're crazy and rabid. Republicans, no, we cool. We got it. We can control them. We're going to use them towards power. And all of a sudden, building and Trump continues, and he's a thug, and he's continuing, and it's building, and it keeps going, and they keep playing with it. And all of a sudden, we're going to contest the election. Voter fraud, stolen, conspiracies, and they go along with it. And Josh Hawley in Missouri, and Ted Cruz of Texas, and all the 140 folks in the House. We're joining on because they were like, yeah, because we're going to run in 2024. So who can appeal to the Trump people? Now they're tweeting, we can't have this. We can't have this violence. Yes, but you unleashed this on America because all you wanted was power. And folks, this was February 21st. This was February 21st, Monique, on ABC This Week, February 21st, 2016. Listen to this. They invited evil in, and now evil is taking over. Okay, 2009, the night of Obama's inauguration, we will stop him at every turn. They love the Tea Party anger. They took advantage of it in 10 and 12 and 14. They always said, we can control it. We can harness it. Now, all of a sudden, Trump is taking advantage of it. He let the whole birther deal. The Republican establishment at some point has to say, you know what? We played with fire, and now it's about to consume us. They have to accept some blame.
The Republican establishment never played with.
Monique, pure and simple. Evil. They've accepted it. Now they got it.
They have to own it, but it's theirs. You know, I will go along with you and anyone else who says that they were trying to harness it. But to me, at the end of the day, when the devil showed himself as the devil, what I didn't learn. What was confirmed for me was they belong to him. They don't care, not really. The fact that they are themselves threatened with a siege on the Capitol, a siege on the Hart building, a siege on Rayburn. I mean, things that, as someone who worked in those buildings, my first job in DC, I was in Longworth, and then I worked in Rayburn. So I was working for Congressman Jack Brooks, who was then chair of the judiciary, and then I worked for Congressman Charlie Wilson. I'm one of Charlie's angels. And so I look at this and think about all the times that we had to be safe in place. We had to shelter in place where there maybe was a thought of a bomb. I was in the congressional offices during the anthrax attacks. So I was checking that mail and I got powder in the mail, and I remember what that felt like. And then I was with the DC Attorney General's office for 9/11. And I had people in my family and my friends calling me tonight who were saying, call me back, text me back. And one of my girlfriends said to me after I responded, she said, okay, because this was reminding me of 9/11 when I was texting and texting and texting you, and I couldn't get a response back. So these consequences are real for all of us. I'm sitting right now, in Virginia, undisclosed location, but I'm under shelter in place. I have a curfew. I can't go get groceries for my kids if I want to. And I don't believe, frankly, that those in power, the McConnells of the world, the Kevin McCarthy's of the world, I refuse to believe they give a damn until they prove it. Because I think that they can hunker down now, they can hide, and then they'll still do whatever they were going to do tomorrow. And they won't really be worried about it to the point that they will come forward forcefully against the Trump machine, because it's not just that crazy man. It's everybody who has the intelligence, the information, the oppo that his organization has developed over the past 10 years. That's what they're worried about and susceptible to. They're worried about his demon spawn. They're worried about his lineage and what they're going to do in next elections. Donald Trump could be gone off the face of the earth tomorrow, and they would still be scared because they know that the vestiges of the Trump operation have them by the, I'm a lady, so I won't say it. My point being, yes, the Capitol saw something today that it hasn't seen to this extent, except by enemy bombers coming in. We haven't seen that threat. But this is something that the people who are in power can swallow comfortably. And I'm sure. Let's just watch tonight. See what they say tomorrow.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. you can make this possible. In New York City, there was a news conference with Keon Harold, attorney Ben Crump, and Reverend Al Sharpton. Keon Harold was on our show yesterday. He is the brother, of course, who was accosted by a white woman at a New York hotel who attacked him and his son, suggesting that his son stole her iPhone. Well, he didn't. An Uber driver later returned it. Well, Ben Crump and others, they say it is time for the New York District Attorney to press charges against this woman for assault. Here's Ben Crump at today's news conference.
So many of our brothers and sisters being falsely accused and losing their life and their liberty for decades in prison. I mean, there are thousands of black men in prison because they were racially profiled and falsely accused. So this has larger implications. I mean, it was Emmett Till who was falsely accused and racially profiled that led to him being lynched. And so it is a larger conversation that has a larger impact on society. And if we don't hold this person accountable to show that there's not a double standard in America, that we can't have these two justice systems in America, one for black America and one for white America. Because we know without a shadow of a doubt, Reverend Al, if Keon, if the roles would have been reversed and you had a black adult tackle a white teenager and falsely accuse that white teenager of taking the cell phone, we know that he would have been arrested for assault and battery. And so we're looking to the NYPD and we're looking to the Manhattan District Attorney to say, are you going to join in the racial profiling, or are you going to do your job and deliver equal justice to send a message not only to this family, not only to New York, but to America and the world, that equal justice under the law for all American citizens, so our children will know that it is unacceptable to racially profile them. And if you do it, that there are going to be consequences. Because wasn't it in at Times Square with Central Park here in New York, where we saw a black man be racially profiled, and thank God that we have video camera. Can you imagine what the narrative would have been if Keon Harold had not videoed the incident on his cell phone? Just ponder that for a second, what the narrative would have been. Because we understand that this person already, Attorney Craig, is trying to allege that she was assaulted by Keon. Now think about that. She is enraged. She's coming at this young man, his son, his cub, who she's never met before in his life, making these wild accusations. I mean, clawing, tackling him. See, you only saw the video that Keon was able to capture on his cell phone. But we know that the hotel surveillance video has it all. Yes. And you see his son being attacked by this woman. You see him being attacked by this woman. They didn't attack her. She attacked them. And all he was doing was trying to protect his cub, as any good parent would have done. And I'm sure you all saw the interview, the only interview that his parents allow him to speak and will allow him to speak, where he said, I don't know what would have happened if my father wasn't there. I don't know what would have happened if my father wasn't there.
Thank you, Lord.
And so, it is, I get a little choked up, and I'm sure many people of color get choked up, because so often black men get stereotyped as not being there for our children. Well, thank God we have video documentation that we are here for our children, and that we love our children just as much as anybody else love their children.
That's right.
Also at today's news conference, Keon Harrell, who is a Grammy Award-winning trumpeter, plays for Maxwell, has played for so many others. He played a rendition of America the Beautiful mixed with We Shall Overcome. Reese, I want to start with you. They want charges pressed against her. You hear it being Crumb say she all of a sudden trying to say she was attacked. Sorry, white woman. That is not going to fly. Not only do we have Keon's video, you have the hotel video that also shot the whole deal. Yeah, she's going to have to answer to this.
Yeah, and I've seen reporting that the district attorney's office is considering charges on a slew of charges, including assault. And so this is the same thing that we've seen historically. I'm actually very happy for a change to see Black people completely unequivocally stand up and demand action, because a lot of times in these cases, what we see is folks get up there and say, I just want an apology, or I forgive you, or whatever else, and play the conciliatory role. No, lock her ass up. Okay, that's what she need to be in jail. I don't have no problems with that. So whatever they got to do, whatever kind of press conference or interviews they have to drive home, that this woman needs to be held accountable, I'm for it. And I'm glad that she finally been identified, because if the situation had been reversed, the media would have been looking high and low for whoever the hell this lady was that assaulted a white child. And so it's time to not let these slights go by. This is not a no harm, no foul situation. Quit effing with Black people. Quit acting like you're our overseers. Quit acting like you have authority over us. And, the hotel also needs to be held accountable, because she had what white folks and white supremacists always have, which is people who help perpetuate the harm that's being done by siding with them, instead of staying neutral or siding with the person who's actually being attacked. And so I'm all for everything that's going to happen. The Central Park lady that they referred to earlier, the bird watcher, said he didn't want all the stuff to happen to her. Nah, we're not doing it this time. Cassandra, your time is coming, girl. And you lucky that you didn't get slapped
First of all,
down to the ground. Charges is actually, to me, milder than what the average Black mama would have done. But luckily for her, it was a man on woman situation. So all he could do was protect his cub. I like that they're saying cub, instead of a mama who would have beat her ass down.
well, first of all, I'm shocked that you actually said effing and not the actual word. But let's go to Robert Patillo. Yeah, I know. That's her early New Year's resolution. Robert Patillo, I want to go to you. Reese is right. Challenge these folks. Go after these folks. I ain't letting white folks off the hook, okay? I'm tired of Black people not being able to barbecue, not being able to sell lemonade, not being able to work at UPS, not being able to work at FedEx. Damn that. Go after all of them.
Well, you have to understand that second-class citizenship has been so ingrained into African Americans over generations that it's reflexive for many. We apologize to them for getting hit. We apologize for them for having to inconvenience them by putting our blackness near them in many cases. So I think it is important for us to understand that as first-class citizens, as modern-day 21st century African Americans, we have every ability and every right to be protected. And I still think we have to get to the point in our criminal justice system where you do not need to have video footage in 1080p or in 4K in order to receive justice in this country. What we saw from the Justice Department on the Tamir Rice announcement that they will not be investigating is that the video was too grainy, as if you have to have Steven Spielberg to direct a video in order to receive justice in this country. And even if you look at the difference between the white college student from Georgia who's down in the Cayman Islands who committed an actual crime, they got sentenced to a couple months in jail for committing a crime, and 2 United States senators and the governor are trying to get her out of that, versus a young African-American male in New York who committed the crime of simply walking by a white woman who was confused. And the fact that if it was not for video, if it was not for his father being there, he more than likely would have been detained by the hotel, may have been investigated by police, may have even been taken into custody and spent a night in jail because this woman accused him of this, because there's always this presumption of criminality of African-American men, particularly when it comes to interactions with white women. This the tale as old as time, even old as rhyme. And until we break that cultural stereotype, we're going to have to continue to fight these battles. You know, Super Mario was rescuing the blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman from the castle. And King Kong was kidnapping and taking the blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman to the top of the Empire State Building. We have to break this ingrained nature of generational self-hatred, of second-class citizenship, and understand that the rule of law is meant to protect us just as much as meant to punish them.
And Greg, we cannot forget Khalif Browder, accused of stealing a backpack, spends 3 years in Rikers Island, finally released. He commits suicide because of the PTSD and the trauma and the abuse that he suffered. A simple allegation of theft. That's what happens to a black kid, especially a black male.
Absolutely, Roland. Robert is right. It's later now. There are no, just like there are no unconvinced voters in Georgia, people who have made up their mind. This country has made, it began as a declaration of war on us and the Native Americans. And Reese is right. It's time for this to end. With all due respect to Brother Crump, I think the most valuable thing he said in what he was saying today was this. There have to be repercussions. As Eddie Murphy said in Life, the movie Life, got to be repercussions and consequences. In other words, we need to stop trying to reach out, because you have to understand, even as was said on the floor of the Senate today, 10 of the 25 poorest counties in the country are in Kentucky. But Mitch McConnell has decided, damn life, I pick holding this criminal enterprise together. In Georgia, Loeffler and Perdue lie and say, we're for that $2,000 check. And so when you see them standing there in New York, and the brother did a beautiful rendering of We Shall Overcome and remixing it, but nah, bruh, with all due respect, later for that. Because as Robert just said, the Justice Department is handing out some lovely parting gifts to the white nationalists by letting the killers of Tamir Rice go. This is not accidental. These things are never going to change in this country. So I'll end with this. We're at an inflection point. Now, people can say, okay, well, don't make this about voting in Georgia. No, be very clear. Why the white nationalists are pulling out all stops in this election in Georgia is because they understand that 6 years from now, this country's going to look very different. And you roll up on us in 6 years, you might get your ass whipped. So let's be very clear. This is their desperate last dying gasp to hold this white minority government together. And the time for being polite, like my colleague Ted Delaney, who just made transition, and we're going to talk about him down there at the College of Washington and Lee and others, that time is over. The statues is going, and we'll punch you dead in your face. And if the police, if you're built like that, Chief, let's move, because now it's repercussions. Later for the We Shall Overcome, later with the conciliation, you ain't going to roll up on us no more, because we're very clear. There are no people who are not convinced that they're right in their moves. We're just going to start counting heads and taking heads. We have to be clear about this now.
And Roland, to Dr. Carr's point, just real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just really quick to Dr. Carr's point. Understand the intersection of this in that Georgia race. We looked at that debate that took place between Warnock and Loeffler. The reason that Kelly Loeffler, who has, I think, a MBA from DePaul University, not DePaul, DePaul University, can call Raphael Warnock, who has a doctorate, radical liberal Warnock, instead of referring to him by name, is because of that same white privilege that allowed this woman to tackle this boy thinking that he had her cell phone. The reason that she can run commercials, $500 million worth, with lie after lie after lie on him, and he has to be walking a little dog and eating pizza with a fork and knife trying to prove how nice he is because of that same over-criminalization of African-American men, that if he had raised his voice and said, well, what is backed industries? Where did you get that $182 million from a Chinese billionaire to start your cryptocurrency company? If he had said that, that would have been too aggressive. So you always have to almost submit to her white supremacy over you. You have to submit to your second-class citizenship, because America will always assume that you, as the black man, will be the criminal, and you will always be over-criminalized. Look at that O.J. Simpson Time magazine cover where they darkened you, because they want to make sure you maintain your place. And every time that you say, I don't want to punish them, I want to be nice, I don't want anything bad to happen to them, you are playing into your own psychological second-class citizenship. And until you break free of that, you can never truly be a first-class citizen in this country.
That's why, for me, I don't want to hear anything when they say, oh, my God, goodness, so-and-so's life was ruined. Well, guess what? Your ass shouldn't have done it. Then it wouldn't have been a problem. If you didn't do it, if you didn't show your white supremacy, if you didn't show your privilege, then guess what? You wouldn't be in trouble. So I don't give a damn if your life was ruined. This damn Cassandra Medina, whatever the hell her name is, I ain't got no problem whatsoever if her ass lose her job, if she get thrown out of her apartment. I don't care, because what she did, again, Khalif Browder. First of all, I need y'all to understand something. I need everybody listening to me understand something. An iPhone 11 cost $1,000. Do y'all know that theft of an iPhone in most places is a felony because of its value?
Come on.
Some of y'all didn't hear what I just said.
One more time, baby.
The theft of an iPhone, because of its value, if you are charged, you can be classified as a felony. Khalif Browder was accused of stealing a backpack of valuables. He spent 3 years in Rikers Island. That brother is dead because of the trauma that he experienced. And so no black kid, you're right, just like that brother we had on the show, who was handcuffed at the mall in Virginia when the cops accused him with stolen credit, using a stolen credit card. It wasn't him, it was some other black guy who they detained. They didn't even bother to ask him first. No, they immediately slapped the cuffs on him. Damn that. I don't want to have to experience getting cuffs slapped on me, being wrongfully persecuted. We've had too many black men who have gone to jail for 15, 20, 30 years as a result of this nonsense. And so, no, it's no, time is over. I ain't apologizing. Damn that. If her life gets destroyed, fine. And I'm with Reese. Throw her punk ass in jail as long as you need to, so she'll learn her damn lesson. Back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Folks, attorney Jaya Person Lin is scheduled to be sentenced on Friday. after the jury convicted him of one count of willfully resisting, delaying, or obstructing a peace officer. The conviction stems from his January 2019 arrest at the San Bernardino County Courthouse, where he was tased and tackled before being arrested when courtroom deputies didn't believe he was an attorney because he had a dashiki on.
If you don't have a case today, you need to go to the clerk's office.
Come here, so I'm going to talk to the clerk.
No, you can't step up and talk to the clerk. What are you here?
I'm an attorney. I'm an officer of the court. I'm here to talk to the clerk.
Okay.
That's what I'm here
What
for.
are you here
To talk to the
about?
clerk.
About what case?
Not anyone.
Well, it's not social hour with the clerk. We got to figure out what you're doing here.
No, you can step out. Step out.
How am I going to step out? I'm
Available Roberts to assist
You cannot approach the clerk.
in Department 7.
Why not?
Got a
Because that's the rules of the
unruly
court. Do you
passenger.
see that? Do not approach the clerk.
Okay.
Okay, so step out and I can help you outside.
What? I need to talk to you.
You have to talk to me to approach the clerk.
Okay, well, tell the clerk I want to talk to her.
Sir, step out.
For what?
Step out.
Why?
Yes. No, come on. Let's go.
So why are y'all putting your hands
Because
on?
you're not listening. Go.
Y'all gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Guarantee this. I'm here to talk to the clerk about my
Do
case.
you want to tell? So is it your case?
It's my client's case.
Okay. So what's your client's name?
I have a case number, MSB 180-20365, and I'm here to talk to the clerk about it. You fucked up.
MSB.
I promise you, you fucked up.
MSB, sir.
180-20365.
203.
Put your hands on me, Barbie. I'm Deaf Barry.
How do you realize that's even on your case? How do you
Definitely coming after you. I promise you, with everything I have, everything I've learned in law school, I'm definitely back up.
back up? Big threat. Get on the ground.
Get on the ground.
You hear me? Don't tell me you're coming after me and you step up on me. You understand what I'm telling you? That's a threat. I got cuffs. And then square off, clench your fist, tell me you're coming after me, and then step up to put the hit down on me, dude. Oh, sir. You done? You gonna go into program or you gonna keep resisting? You got my taser? Well, let's bring him to the cell.
Joining me right now is Jai Person Lynn. Jai Person, glad to have you here. This all started because you were wearing dashiki and they didn't believe that you were a lawyer?
Yeah, plain and simple. That's it. And thanks for having me. Good to see you. But that's it. They did not believe me. I told them exactly who I was, what I was there for, and before the video that you showed started, I tried to pull out my bar card to show them I'm in fact an attorney, but I did not get that opportunity. Before that, he pushed me.
So they hit you with willfully resisting, delaying, or obstructing a peace officer. And they want to send you to jail for a year because of a shirt you were wearing.
That's what I'm facing. That's what I'm facing. And at the trial, they recognized it was not resisting. Although you hear him on the audio saying, "Are you going to stop resisting?" They know I never resisted. And so at the trial, it was for delaying or obstructing. So at the part of the video you just showed, when he put his hands on me the second time and I put my hand on his and his hand left my chest, that is the act, the specific act that the jury said delayed or obstructed him in the lawful performance of his duty. And that 3-second act is the act that I was convicted of, delaying or obstructing him in his duty.
So what the jury said is The officer can put hands on you, and you're supposed to stand there and just take it.
That's exactly what they said. It's basically just the us realizing that the Dred Scott case is still good law, at least in San Bernardino County, in which the Supreme Court of the United States wrote, and it's still there on the books today, that for more than a century we were regarded as inferior beings, and so inferior that we could be reduced to slavery for our own benefit, and that a black man had no rights that a white man was bound to respect. So that being good law, that being the state of the law, makes sense why I was convicted. But if I was actually a true full citizen of this nation, I would not have been even charged. That officer would have been charged for battery and assault with a deadly weapon when he shot me with the taser.
Are you concerned after the jury took 3 seconds and convicted you and who, first of all, who determines what your sentence is going to be? Is it the judge or is it the jury?
It's the judge that allowed the jury to act on that. The whole thing, from the second I walked through the doors of the courtroom until the time I was tased, was under 2.5 minutes. But the judge enumerated 9 different acts from that one charge in those 2.5 minutes to allow the jury to try and convict me on. So they didn't convict me on the other 8, but they convicted me on that one act, it took the jury 7 hours of deliberation, and it was only about 7 hours of testimony. So that's a long time to testify. That's a long time to deliberate with such short testimony. But when the judge allowed all of those acts to come in, they figured they had to convict me of something, and they ultimately did. And then when I talked to a couple jurors afterwards, one of them told me it wasn't the act of pushing his hand away from you that was the guilty act. It was the fact that once you did that, it made him focus on you more. So he followed you out of the courtroom, even though I was following their instructions to leave. The fact he followed and nobody asked him to follow is what made me delay him. That was their actual reasoning that they stated why they convicted me.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes no sense at all, because what they're saying is, if there's an officer on the streets doing DUI patrol, but then they pull me over for using my cell phone while driving, I have now obstructed this officer from doing his DUI patrol duty. And that is the kind of logic that the jury of no black people. We were in Rancho Cucamonga. It's 8 or 9% black. It's 10% Asian. But out of the 24 jurors in the jury pool, there were 0 blacks and 6 Asians. And one of the jurors, the juror that told me his reasoning, he actually told the judge before the trial that he's not a good juror for this because he believes police are right all the time. So if I didn't do exactly what they said, I'd be wrong. And he even told me if the cop pushed him like that, he would have removed his hand. But that's him telling me, in his eyes, I'm less than him, because if it's right for him to do it, but not for me to do it.
So you will learn your fate tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, correct?
Yes, sir. From the same judge that allowed that juror to stay on and allowed those 9 acts. And the thing about this statute, it's specific to an officer. So there could be 2 officers there, and I have to delay a specific officer, not just law enforcement in general. So 4 of the 9 acts that the judge enumerated for the jury to decide on were not even against Deputy Barry, who was the white deputy in the video that got physical with me and shot me with the taser. 4 of them were against the other deputy, who testified, I should not have been arrested. I should not have been tased. But imagine that. You had a black deputy saying I shouldn't have been arrested or tased. You had a black attorney saying I shouldn't have been arrested and tased in myself. And then a white officer saying it was okay to do in the courtroom. And that's why he pushed me, was maintaining the security of the courtroom. And so it's, I don't get it. He also testified when we walked into the vestibule, he had no plans on arresting me. And what I got arrested for happened about a minute before we walked into the vestibule. So for the judge to even allow the jury to make a decision on that was a miscarriage of justice. And then obviously them convicting me was a miscarriage of justice. But a reminder that regardless of what the laws say related to our rights, the status that we had when the Declaration of Independence was written, when Thomas Jefferson wrote, all men are created equal while holding slaves, that meant from the foundation of this nation until this day, we are less than in this country. And if that wasn't enough, we have the Constitution, we have the Dred Scott opinion, and even up until my conviction, it's just a reminder of our status here.
All right, then. Well, look, we certainly appreciate you joining us. We'll wait to see what this decision is tomorrow. Jaya, personally, we appreciate it, brother. Good luck.
Thanks a lot, Roland. I greatly appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much. It's
time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Just some breaking news here. Twitter has permanently banned Donald Trump.
Again? Permanently?
No. He is permanently banned. Donald Trump will not be able to have a Twitter account again.
Wow, now I'm talking about. And that's what I meant when I said to somebody who keeps talking to me about how are we going to come together? How is Biden going to put us together? And how are we going to make this thing right? And I told him, look, here's what I understand. I understand what racism is all about. And I understand what systemic racism is and why at every juncture we are at a disadvantage. I understand that thoroughly. And I also said to them, it is really up to white people to determine whether or not they are going to change their ways, whether or not they're going to use their power and influence to change things. White people sitting in important positions, in important institutions. It is up to white people to determine whether or not they are ready and they're willing and that they have the responsibility to help change what is going on in America. The responsibility lies with them. We fight, we struggle, we sacrifice, and we die, fighting for justice, freedom, and equality. Our ancestors have done it. It's going all the way up through today, where we have young people who are dying at the hands of police, who target young black men in particular, who are unarmed and shoot, people lying in their beds like they did Miss Taylor. And so it's up to white people to get started. We're trying to change America.
I agree. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Donald Trump, boy, showed how thuggish he is. When over the weekend, he had a phone call with Secretary of State of Georgia, basically trying to get him to steal this election for him. He is so desperate. He cannot handle that he actually lost to Kamala Harris as well as Joe Biden. He simply can't handle it. So what does he want to do? He wants to cheat. Listen to this phone call, folks. Shocking and stunning, but then again, it's not, because it's thugging Chief Donald Trump.
We have won this election in Georgia based on all of this. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct, the people of Georgia are angry. And these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
Well, but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did, and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. But they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are removing machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can, both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this. And it's going to be very costly in many ways. And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers. For instance, I'm hearing Ryan, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And that alone wins us the election by a lot. So.
Mr. President, you have people that submit information, and we have our people that submit information, and then it comes before the court, and the court then has to make a determination. We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
Well, under law, you're not allowed to give faulty election results, okay? You're not allowed to do that, and that's what you've done. This is a faulty election result. And honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow, because you have a big election coming up, and because of what you've done to the president, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam. And because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote. And a lot of Republicans are going to vote negative because they hate what you did to the president. Okay? They hate it. and they're going to vote. And if you would be respected, really respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday.
Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of Georgia, not happy at all. Georgia election officials held a news conference today that was devastating to Donald Trump because all they did was expose lie after lie after lie after lie.
Yes, it's Gabriel. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gabriel Sterling. Good to see you all again. Happy New Year. We are preparing for a major election tomorrow. Obviously, a few things we want to go over, and then we will go into some other items, I'm sure. So, as of right now, we have 962,886 mail and absentee ballots received. There's 281,376 that are still outstanding. I'm hoping to get the military received conference, which will hopefully come in on my cell phone. In person, obviously, we smashed the record for turnout on that one. We're at 2,074,857. So that means right now we're looking at 3,037,743 votes that have already been cast across Georgia. Now, the previous record for a runoff election was a 2004, I think it's right, Saxby-Chambliss race, which was 2.1 million votes that were cast. That is the previous record. And in the election 2018 runoff election, we saw just under 1.5 million. So obviously a lot of interest. I'm sure Georgians are tired of TV ads, text messages, voicemails, and mail. So it's all going to end very soon, hopefully. In preparation for the election tomorrow on Election Day voting, we have 6,963 poll pads. They finished the final loading of their data today before lunch. We had about 21 counties were the last ones to go. Most of them completed it over the weekend. A total of 2,648 polling locations open on Election Day. We have a couple that have been closed due to some shortages and some other COVID-related items, but the total we have right now is 2,648. We don't anticipate changes, but they always may happen. We have shared those locations with Georgia Power and the EMCs in case there's power issues or any other issues that might come up from that. And we've seen a few shortages of poll workers. So I think specifically we saw in Morgan County, they're going to lose 2 locations because of that. Now, what we've seen also is a difference in the turnout models depending on congressional district and county in this state so far, in large part driven by the continuing misinformation and disinformation concerning the value of people's votes in this state. The Secretary wants me to make clear that everybody's vote is going to count. Everybody's vote did count. I want to make that abundantly clear. If you care about, the values and direction of the nation you want to see, it is your obligation to turn out and vote tomorrow, be you Democrat or Republican. However, right now, given the nature of the President's statements and several other people who have been aligned with him previously, who've literally had rallies saying protest and don't vote, we are specifically asking you and telling you, please turn out and vote tomorrow. One of the things specifically I've had to argue with people whom I've known for 20 years, they say, well, we feel like our election was stolen. We feel like our votes don't count. And I said, okay, I'm not acknowledging that the election was stolen because it wasn't. I'm not acknowledging that there was massive voter fraud because there wasn't. But I said, but if you believe in your heart of hearts that there was, the best thing for you to do is to turn out and vote and make it harder for them to steal. If that's what you genuinely in your heart of hearts believe, turn out and vote. And the reason I'm having to stand here today is because there are people in positions of authority and respect who have said their votes didn't count, and it's not true. And I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to go through all this anti-disinformation Monday. It's whack-a-mole again. It is Groundhog Day again. I'm going to get to talk about things that I've talked about repeatedly for 2 months. But I'm going to do it again one last time, I'm hoping. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure people understand their votes count. Every person, every voice matters.
Do you believe that what happened in that phone call was an attack on democracy?
I'll leave other people to make the decision on that. I personally found it to be something that was not normal, out of place, and nobody I know who would be president would do something like that to a Secretary of State.
Thank you.
And I'll ask you very quickly about the Secretary's desire to have that phone call recorded. Why did he want that call recorded? Was he concerned about anything improper being said or that he may need to release it later?
I think given the environment we're in right now and political situation that we're in and the history of the president, knowing that he sometimes doesn't necessarily characterize things as they might have actually occurred, it was out of an abundance of caution. But I'm sure many people, I'm sure the president's side recorded it too, so they might have been the ones that leaked part of that as well.
Thank you.
Matt Finn with Fox News National.
Yeah.
How do you interpret the president asking the Secretary of State to, quote, find votes on that phone call? Is it fair to say the president was asking the Secretary of State to fraudulently find or flip votes?
I don't know who's trying to fraudulently find the votes, but the thing is we have certified this election, so there are no more votes to find. We will continue investigations, so he has an election challenge. And one of the things that they were discussing on that phone call was they have sued the state of Georgia and the Secretary of State. There are rules of evidence to follow once you do that. Trying to go outside of that is an issue. And we've said, I believe we sent our lawyers and sent their lawyers a letter saying, if you want to dismiss your challenge, we're more than happy to share this data with you to show that your data is incorrect and you have in fact lost the state of Georgia.
I want to bring my panel now, Dr. Avis Jones Weaver, political analyst, leadership strategist, Dr. Julian Malvoy, President Emerita, Bennett College economist, Mustafa Santiago Ali, former advisor with the EPA. Julian, I want to start with you. First of all, the U.S. attorney who Donald Trump appointed here in Georgia has resigned. Of course, this happens 2 days after that particular call. Also, the DA here in Fulton County, Fannie Willis, this is what she submitted. Like many Americans, I have found the news reports about the president's telephone call with the Georgia Secretary of State disturbing. It is my understanding from news reports that a member of the state election board has requested that the Secretary's Elections Division investigate the call, after which the board can refer the case to my office and the state attorney general. As I promised Fulton County voters last year as district attorney, I will enforce the law without fear or favor. Anyone who commits a felony violation of Georgia law in my jurisdiction will be held accountable. Once the investigation is complete, that this matter, like all matters, will be handled by our office based on the facts and the law. Congressman Bobby Scott of Virginia has also called for a congressional investigation as well. Bottom line here, Julian, Donald Trump making that phone call, he is not protected, okay, in terms of immunity, because on the federal level, this was a state law. He's only president less than 20 days. They can indict his ass on January 20th after 12:01 p.m. Eastern.
Well, not only could they, but should they? This man has lost his blooming mind. I mean, when you listen to the tone and the tenor and the intimidation and the hollering and all of that to attempt to get a Secretary of State to change the election results, you look at it and say, huh? Really, there are erudite ways to say this, but huh is really the way to deal with it. Here's a point, Roland, and the most important point. This man is desperate. He is losing his mind. I don't know if Melania can just put him in a straitjacket or Ivanka can roll him up out of there. But he is making a mess of things, and this is what he wants to do. When you listen to the phone call, you must shudder at the implications of a sitting president deciding to attempt to twist the arm of a Secretary of State. But that ain't the worst of it. That ain't the worst of it. The worst of it is that
Right.
Republicans have allowed him to do this, and they aren't speaking up. This is a party of
And
wusses.
that right there, and that right there, Mustafa, shows you exactly where this party are. They basically have said nothing. What this man did is egregious. To sit here in the Oval Office and to make that phone call to the Secretary of State, according to NBC News, Donald Trump has tried to call Raffensperger 18 previous times over the last 2 months, and he has been desperate. This man he asked him to go find 11,700 votes, and he's like, dude, race is over. We've counted all of them. Donald Trump asked the Secretary of State of Georgia to go and steal the election, and then he said, all you got to do is just reclassify him. That is absolute voter intimidation. The attempt to steal an election, he should be absolutely indicted because of this.
Without a doubt. I mean, it is the most egregious form of voter intimidation that we've seen in a long time. I mean, for you to go to the Secretary of State of Georgia and ask them to actually, sort of just, play some games so that you could win, it's amazing that a president of the United States would actually, one, be that foolish to be on the phone having that type of a conversation, and two, to actually do that. He's been looking for voter fraud for the last 4 years. You hear him talk about it all the time, and all he had to actually do was look in the mirror. And voter suppression also. I mean, because think about all the people, folks who stood in line, folks who made sure that they did everything right to have their IDs and all these other types of things, and then to have the president of the United States to try to suppress their vote, because that's actually what it is, by making sure that they find this additional 11,000 votes that he needed to be able to win. So, some folks might not say this, but it is actually a form of a coup that he was trying to do to actually have this election overturned, to make himself president, even though when he did not win by the plurality of the votes.
Here's what's hilarious, Avis. Dude, if they steal Georgia for you, you still lost. You lost Arizona. You lost Pennsylvania. You lost Michigan. Your ass gonna still lose. But here's the craziest thing. You got Republicans who are saying, let's investigate who leaked it. They don't give a damn about what he said on the call. All they care about who leaked it. They have no principles, no morals, no values. They are grossly unethical.
Absolutely. The reason why they want to deflect and go to the issue of who leaked the video, or the audio, it's because they can't defend it. How can they defend it? How can they justify it? How can they say that what happened on that call wasn't in any way appropriate? How can they even say that it was legal? They can't. Okay, they cannot. So they're trying to change the subject by talking about how the audio existed in the first place. Listen, what we witnessed was a crime. He was trying to incite the Secretary of State to commit fraud in that election. That is a crime. He deserves to be locked up as soon as possible, as soon as he gets his infected behind out of the White House. This is egregious. I'll say one last thing about this. To me, this looks like the beginning of the end of democracy. This is the beginning of the death of democracy, because these types of shenanigans, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, are not going to end with Donald Trump. You can tell because of the lack of response of the Republican Party. You can tell because of the kabuki theater they have planned for tomorrow. This is just the beginning of an all-out assault on democracy by Republicans that will live far beyond this corrupt presidency. And that's what we need to turn our attention to next, how to stop it.
Well, on that particular point, a couple of things. Kelly Loeffler. Hold on, one second, Julianne, 1 second. On that particular point, Senator Kelly Loeffler has come out and stated that she is going to join those on Wednesday to challenge the electors in the United States Senate. That shows you she's gutless and a coward. She's even more of a coward because she would not even answer questions today about that phone call. And keep in mind, Kelly Loeffler called for the Secretary of State to resign, and him and his family started getting death threats after that. Not only that, some breaking news, one of the Proud Boys who tore down that Black Lives Matter sign from Metropolitan AME has been arrested as a result of that. Donald Trump, he wants his merry band of thugs to come to Washington, D.C. and to unleash mayhem on America. He simply is such a dictator and a thug. There's no other word you can describe. This man is not a president. He is a dictator. He is desperate to hold onto power, and I don't give a damn about any punk ass, sorry Republican who will not stand up and condemn this. At least Senator Mitt Romney has said something. At least Pat Toomey out of Pennsylvania has said something. But when you watch that Jim Crow caucus, when you watch that fool out of Oklahoma, and Ron Johnson out of Wisconsin, who's also a liar, and then that crazy-ass Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. What you're dealing with are sick and demented people who I don't care, Julian. I don't want to work with them. The hell with them. And I say go after them. And I say to Nancy Pelosi, you don't seat any Republican who stands with Trump on this, because if the election was illegal, then their re-election was also illegal.
You know, Roland, one of the things I have to say is that it's really kind of funny when you look at it. When you look at these devils who want to essentially upturn the election results, they don't understand that they're upturning their own results. And they really are not. Nancy Pelosi is doing her best. She's in a challenging situation. I think she's doing the best she can do. I wish that the Democratic caucus would align, but it isn't going to. We're all over the place. We're Democrats. We're never going to be in the same place. But here's what we do know. We know that we have an idiot, a certified public idiot in the house that enslaved people built. We know that he is doing in the next 20 days, 18 days, he's doing his best to F up whatever there was in foundational structure. And he knows that he can play games and that some of his followers, like Ted Cruz, will follow him. Now, it's always interesting that someone like a Ted Cruz, he talked about Ted Cruz's mama. He talked about Ted Cruz's wife.
No. His daddy. He accused the man's daddy of killing Lee Harvey Oswald. The man called your wife ugly, and your punk ass running around behind him.
That's what I'm saying. Why would Ted Cruz now be in booty licking position, trying to do something? Forgive me for the language, but just trying to do something. I mean, this is totally absurd. But what's most absurd is the way that the Republican Party has abdicated its integrity. I'm not going, we all have Republican friends. We ain't going to say that. But what I'm saying is, if we're Americans, if we're patriots, then we really have to say, this spit is over. It's over.
Look, Julian, they were never they were never patriots. They were never patriots. Okay? Well, they care about power. They're sucking up to this man. Hawley out of Missouri, sucking up to him. All the rest of them. Avis, let me be clear. I don't give a damn about none of them. I don't want to work with any of them. I want to bury them. I want to defeat them. Joe Biden should say, I'm not going to talk to any of you. These people, let me be real clear what they're doing. They are saying to America, damn you black people. Because they are only disputing voting in Fulton County. They're only disputing voting in Philadelphia. They're only disputing voting in Milwaukee. They're only disputing voting in Detroit. This is a direct attack on black people. Let's call it exactly what it is. I don't want to, and so it is not an attack on democracy. It's an attack on black people, and that's what they're doing, and we got to call it what it is. And Avis, black folks had better understand Trump is appealing to white nationalism, and he is saying to these Proud Boys, attack these folks, and that's why they went after a Black Lives Matter sign at a black church, because they have disdain that black people dare to exercise their right to vote, which they did not want to give us coming out of slavery, which they did not want to give us, of course, during the Reconstruction period. That's why the Mississippi folks met in 1890, because they got sick and tired of black people being elected, and ever since 1890, there hasn't been a single black person elected statewide in Mississippi. That's why, even where I'm standing in Georgia, the reason they have changed the runoff law The law in Georgia was specifically changed because white folks said we do not want to see multiple white candidates running and split the ticket to allow an African American to win. So the reason there is 50+1 voting here in Georgia is specifically because of racism. That was the root of this law in this state. And so what we are seeing, Avis, pure and simple, is a direct attack on the sovereignty of black people in America.
Absolutely. This is a frontal attack on the black vote specifically. As you mentioned, surgically, they have gone and targeted those specific areas and localities that have an overabundance of black voters to challenge. And like now, what is it, over 5-6 dozen lawsuits? Now we have this ridiculousness that's going on again with this call in Georgia, where Fulton County was specifically mentioned out of the president's mouth. That's exactly what's going on here. And you're exactly right. There are these appeals to white nationalism. What it makes me think about is, on the one hand, I'm thinking maybe petty me is thinking, what are these black rappers that were so pro-Trump prior to the election thinking about this now, and why haven't they said anything about it? But beyond that, now that I got that out of my system, I have to say that, I think it's very important that black people understand the power of our vote. And what's exciting to me in the midst of all that, I am seeing evidence that we get it. When you look at what's happening with LaTosha Brown and the Black Women's Roundtable and all that Stacey Abrams and all of those other organizers in Georgia have been able to do, we are seeing amazing turnout, just even in the early voting areas. We're seeing amazing turnout among rural areas in terms of black population. So even if for many years it seemed like the Democratic Party just couldn't get a clue in terms of the power of the black vote in the South, black women have been able to say, oh, hell to the yeah, we can make a difference. We can make a change. We can win. And they have proved it in November. And now what's happening with the Republican Party, they cannot stand the fact that black people are wielding their power in a state that they thought they had sufficiently sabotaged. What we have been able to do is to overcome their voter suppression effort with willpower, with work, and with the power of the sister vote and the brother vote all throughout Georgia. And I'm hoping that they turn out at record levels once again tomorrow to put the stake in the heart of this demon, because we have to kill it. And the first thing, one of the first things that this new administration needs to do is to repair the Voting Rights Act, because this is not the end of these types of challenges. It's just the beginning.
And that's why, Mustafa, it's a problem when 940,000 black people have not voted here in Georgia. And I'm telling you right now, I don't like these people. I don't trust these people. On The View, they discussed it today. And Meghan McCain said, we got to have more respect and tolerance for Trump voters. Hell no. I ain't respecting nobody who voted for a racist, who voted for a sexist, who voted for a xenophobe, who voted for a narcissistic son of a bitch who doesn't care about anybody else, a man who would rather steal the election, who has lied about voter fraud, who has lied about everything. This man has lied repeatedly. And I'm sorry, if you are a Trump voter, that means that you accepted all of that, and your tax cuts were worth it. You cared about the issue of abortion more than any of that. You cared about all that. No. Damn that. I'm going to sit here and say it. If you are a Trump supporter and you went along with that, then you are just as guilty as he is, because you voted for pure evil.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you. There's that old adage that says you should care about folks who care about you. Donald Trump has shown in no form or fashion that he actually cares about what's happening in the African American community. He's done everything in his power through policy to make our lives more difficult, to shorten our lives, and to take wealth out of our communities. And I'm glad you raised that last point also, Roland, because it's so incredibly important. When you have these men and women on January the 6th, who are going to be there on Capitol Hill, fanning the flames, that's a dangerous situation that's going on. And, also adding in the Proud Boys and all these other white nationalist organizations, we all remember the last time that folks got together, how many folks got stabbed. So, we've got to really be mindful of every time that black folks begin to utilize their power, there are these repercussions that play out. And that's why we've got to continue to come together. We've got to continue to push the new administration, as Avis shared, on the points that she raised, and also make sure that the Department of Justice is on its job and that it is actually going out and investigating all these types of things that have happened in the past and letting folks know moving forward that it will not be tolerated and that you will be prosecuted.
You know, Roland,
here's my whole deal. Here's my whole deal. No, Julian, hold on. Julian, hold on. Here's my whole deal. I'm not interested in going along to get along. I'm not interested in no damn bipartisanship. I'm not interested in, well, we got to take into consideration their feelings. Because, you know, all I've heard for the last 4 years is we got to listen to the Trump voters. We got to be concerned about their feelings. Damn that. I know what I see. We have been here before. We were here in 1876 when there was a contested election, when the Republicans said, if y'all go ahead and let Rutherford B. Hayes becomes president, then we'll go ahead and pull out the last federal troops out of the remaining 3 southern state capitals. And the Democrats said, well, that's what we going to do. We going to do that, and it's going to be all good. But then what ended up happening? They then put in place Jim Crow and attacked black people. And the same thing happened in North Carolina when they crushed the reform movement as well. When they burned down Wilmington. When we saw what happened in Tulsa. I said this in 2009, and I'll say it again. We are living in the age of white minority resistance. And what they are doing is attacking black people. They do not like to see what we did when it came to voting. And that's why I saw some dumbass on my YouTube channel say, I didn't vote for Trump or Biden. Well, who the hell you think you voted for? Because here's the real deal. If you don't take control of the Senate, if Ossoff and Warnock do not win tomorrow, then there is no John Lewis Act to fix the Voting Rights Act. There is no George Floyd Justice Act. There is no relief for student loan debt. You're not going to see a real rollout when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine. So you got to be stuck on stupid if you walking around here saying, well, I'm just going to sit this out. Hell no, you ain't got time to sit it out because black folks have caught hell in this country, and I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and be alive in 2021 and be silent when I see racists who are sitting here targeting black people every single day.
You know, Roland, one of the most important things I think that your program is a contribution to our people is to lift this up because there's so many people who really do not believe black people, that there's racism. These were incidental conversations. This was an accident. They didn't mean it. And the fact is that it's systemic. It is so MF systemic. And excuse the MF, I try to clean up my language for 2021. But in any case, we'll do our best. But in any case, what we have to deal with, as you've said, is in very many ways that this cake called America has in its ingredients patriarchy, racism, capitalism, predatory capitalism. This is the cake that has been baked. And can you unbake a cake? And by that I mean, can you get us back to a place where everybody has an opportunity? We're looking at young people. The achievement gap is widening because of income gaps. We're looking at any number of things, Roland. You know better than I do what we're looking at. You're down there on the ground. But what we must know and what we must deal with is the fact that this is untenable.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily
at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Folks, Roland Martin here reporting live from Atlanta, Georgia. What we are seeing in the nation's capital right now, we have actually seen before. Folks want to say they are shocked, they are stunned. But the reality is we at this show are not shocked and stunned by what we are seeing. This is some video that was shot earlier today of protesters, Donald Trump supporters, storming the United States Capitol, running past barricades, blowing past and fighting with Capitol Hill police officers as well. You see them there also taking apart those barricades. What has happened today has been short of stunning. It has been short of stunning in that what we've seen. They have stormed the U.S. Capitol. They literally jumped on the floor of the United States House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. They also were in the offices of people like Speaker Nancy Pelosi. One woman was shot. We now can report that she has died as a result of a gunshot wound to the throat. What happened earlier today was this here. Donald Trump went out there and spoke to his supporters, but he was not particularly happy. Then he called on them to march to the U.S. Capitol. You want an understanding of what's going on? Here is this tweet right here. There's this guy, Rogan Hanley, he calls himself a lawyer and a patriot. This was his tweet. This is Anthony. We should have this up. Yeah. This is the Million Patriot March. People came from the West Coast, the Midwest, and even overseas for one purpose: to fight for America and a president that fights for us. He then says history. Well, he's absolutely right. It is history. And what they have done is they have caused the U.S. Capitol to be on complete right now. What people have to understand is we have seen this nonsense before. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting. They cannot tolerate losing. So as a result, what did Donald Trump do? What did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump then incited these folks all over Washington, D.C. Folks, again, what we're dealing with right now are individuals, Republicans, who are committing treason. They are committing treason across this country. And every single Republican who stood with Donald Trump, who said they were not going to support the electors that took place today, they should be thrown out of Congress. What we have to understand here, you got to understand here that what you're dealing with here is you're dealing with white domestic terrorists. Media
exactly
all the time was calling these folks that were saying, well, they're protesters. No, they went from protesters to a mob. And let's be real clear. If this was Black Lives Matter, there would be hundreds of dead black people right now. If this was Black Lives Matter, I can guarantee you that the U.S. Capitol cops would have not have been unprepared for what took place. Never in any of our minds did we think that somehow that you would have folks out here who would be able to storm the U.S. Capitol, go through the Capitol Rotunda, and then be engaged in gunfire with security inside of the U.S. House chamber. Folks, again, shocking, stunning, but this is something that you need to understand. For 5 years ago, I called this. 5 years ago, when I was on ABC This Week, I said point blank that what the Republicans have done is they have allowed evil into their home, and evil now has consumed them. This party has been following Trump, and Donald Trump has been sitting at the White House loving what he saw today. He saw these people fighting for him. There is blood on the hands of people like Congressman Louis Gohmert, who actually said that, oh, this decision for Trump to lose is going to incite violence in the streets. Now, your comments did that. Here's a photo here of one of these protesters sitting in the actual, this person is sitting at the desk of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Sitting at the desk of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. That's what this photo here is. Okay, that's what this photo is. All right, folks. I'm going to show you some other videos and some photos of what's been going on again with these protesters. Just excuse me, these mob, these crazy folks, and just so you understand here, okay. And let's see if I can sit here and I'm gonna pull this video up because Donald Trump also addressed this group today, and then there was a particular guy, a black guy who was one of the folks who was speaking. Let's see if I can find it. And you know, they were sitting here, out here. You know, also, by the way, that idiot Representative Vernon Jones of Atlanta, he also spoke at that so-called rally today, that Klan rally. You also had, let's see here, Rudy Giuliani spoke. You know, Donald Trump came down and spoke to these people. What you're dealing with here again, folks, you're dealing with people who cannot stand the fact that Donald Trump was beaten. They support this crazy man. They support his crazy policies. And all of these Republicans, let me say it again, all of these Republicans who have been playing footsie with these people, all these folks who have been supporting them, all these people who have been backing them, folks, they need to answer for this. DC police announced 13 people have been arrested. Please explain to me how in the hell only 13 people have been arrested when we saw hundreds and thousands of these people literally storming the United States Capitol. There's no other way to explain any of this other than they allowed this mayhem to happen. They allowed these people to do what they did. Go to my iPad. This is that crazy black Republican, David Harris. Again, another one of these rabid Trump followers. They have blood on their hands as well. Every single person, the 74 million Trump supporters who voted for him, you caused this to happen today. We're not going to sugarcoat any of this. You caused this to happen. It's pure and simple what you caused to happen. That's what you have caused. I want to go to my panel right now. A. Scott Bolden is former chair of National Bar Association Action Committee. We have D. Hawkins Hagler, former Georgia State Representative. Folks, let me know when Monique Presley, legal analyst. Monique is on, legal analyst and crisis manager, joins us as well. Scott, I'll start with you, and that is to see what has taken place today, to see police there out in front of the U.S. Capitol, to see it on lockdown. They literally are going room to room in the U.S. Capitol to make sure that all of these Trump white domestic terrorists are no longer in the Capitol. Some of these folks have said they plan on staying there. This again right here, this is some video that was shot here of them earlier in the Capitol Rotunda. This is, again, they stormed the U.S. Capitol. This is some of that video. This is some of that video here. Here is, I'm going to show you in a second. This is, again, some of the other video of them marching. And remember, Donald Trump, he wanted more from that march, the Capitol. So he ordered them. He said, march to the U.S. Capitol.
That's right.
Donald Trump is complicit, Scott, in the violence and the mayhem that has resulted today in that woman's death. Donald Trump, if the Republicans in Congress had any guts, Scott, they would immediately remove Donald Trump from office.
It's outrageous. And it's not funny. It's not Trump being Trump. This was an insurrection, if you will. This was domestic terrorism. And we sat there and watched it. Him incite them an hour after the detractors on the Senate side and the House side challenged these certified votes. This is not funny. This was, they went into the Capitol and damaged property, if you will. And so I got two thoughts. One, where were the Capitol Police as well as the National Guard? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I got a really good, strong suspicion that they were told to stand down. There is no way, if Black Lives Matter, you should get the picture of what the Capitol looked like with the military surrounding it when Black Lives Matter protested, and then look at the Capitol when these Trump supporters got there. At being incited by Donald Trump. Secondly, there are only 13 people that have been arrested. There will be more. But you raised a really good point. They got to go room to room. And anybody who's been at the Capitol, that is a monstrosity of a building. They have underground tunnels that take members to do their vote. They have offices. They have kitchens. They have all kinds of rooms where these people could be hiding out in. And they got to the speaker's desk and left her a letter, as I understand one of the reports. Are you kidding me? This is a sad day in America. And I got to tell you, they've got to do the work, though. They cannot let this stop this certification. And those detractors on House and Senate side, they need to go sit down somewhere because they're the problem and they're part of this crisis that we saw unfold today at the Capitol.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
The issue of the 25th Amendment has come up a lot. As I said, Vice President Mike Pence, according to his advisors, has said he is not going to move forward with that. So what exactly is the 25th Amendment and what could its impact be? Joining us right now is constitutional law expert Dr. Chris Metzler. Chris, first and foremost, you are conservative, you're a Republican, you've seen all of this madness, what took place on yesterday. Surely you have to be embarrassed to watch these Republicans even still vote to not to accept the electors of Pennsylvania and Arizona after what took place yesterday. And it just makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense. And in fact, it was shameful. It was not, in my view, unexpected, though. But as we look at the Republicans who, well, let's start with the president. The president clearly has blood on his hands because there was no reason whatsoever to call people to Washington on the 6th of January. He knew the reason that he was calling them there. He knew what they were going to do. So, in fact, he's aided and abetted that. That's number one. And after everything that happened, those members, those Republicans, both in the House and the Senate, who still raised those objections, I guess they think, oh, well, I'm going to get reelected. I don't need black folks, young folks, et cetera, voting for me. So whatever. And let me go specifically to Josh Hawley. First of all, as it relates to Josh, I hope everyone knows that he's raised a significant amount of money over his objections. And we should also know that he plans to run for office in 2024. Naked ambition. So it is what it is. And the folks who did what they did yesterday, that's not the Republican Party I know. But apparently, from my perspective, there is no Republican Party. It is a loose collection of factions. That's pretty much what you
got. For folks who don't, when these constitutional issues come up, people who don't really understand, most people haven't even read the Constitution. When you watch some of these movies, they give you the impression that all the cabinet officers have to sign a letter invoking the 25th Amendment. Is that true or not?
No, They don't all have to sign. What has to happen is the vice president gets a majority of them to say, we want to do that. Here's the problem with the 25th Amendment. It's probably, and particularly Section 4, the worst written part of the Constitution, which is why it's rarely ever used or invoked. Here's the problem. All that will happen is that, in fact, the vice president would say, and that certain portion of the cabinet would say, the president is incapacitated. Okay, but here's what happens after that. The president then can write a response and say, no, I'm not. And at that point, Congress has 21 days to resolve that. So in this particular case, it will go nowhere relative to the 25th Amendment. And keep in mind, the president can ban anyone from the White House. So it's not like they can trot up there and give him this and say, get out. That's not how this works.
So when you say incapacitated, that means that, so if he says, I'm not, now they actually have to prove it. Now there has to be some process. So in essence, some evidentiary hearing to determine that.
Yeah, and that will take place in 21 days. So as a practical matter, by that time, he'd already be out of office. Now, the worst case scenario that can happen is you can have dueling presidents. So, for example, Pence can say, yes, I determined that you're incapacitated, and so I'm acting as president. Then he says, Trump says, no, I'm not. I'm still president. So it's, the 25th Amendment really isn't explained as much as it should be explained so that folks understand it's not as easy as it sounds.
So, and for all the people who keep talking about it, again, you're talking about a very short period of time. So the quickest way to get rid of the president is really to impeach him in the House. I mean, they literally, now even on that, do they have to have a certain time frame? So for instance, can the House literally in one day impeach Trump? Can the Senate actually have a one day hearing and vote to convict or to acquit?
Yeah, they can do that. They can do that. There's no time period to do that. The problem is what will happen in this case is the obstructionists will obstruct that process. But technically, yes, they can do that. They can call everyone back and say, listen, we're going to do this in one day. This is the time. You're not leaving here until this is done in 24 hours. They can do that. As a practical matter, I don't think that's going to happen, but they could do it.
Dr. Chris Metzler, we certainly appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Take care.
That's why I want to go to Erica here. Erica, this is why I love it. All of these media folks today have been, oh my God, Chuck Schumer's come out and saying, invoke the 25th Amendment, and it's going on and on and on, the next person. But it ain't that simple. This whole notion that the 25th Amendment is just like this magic bullet. Yeah, if he simply says, I'm not incapacitated, based upon what? Are you telling me I have dementia? I have Alzheimer's? That I'm sick? No, I'm not. I'm in great health. All right, now what do you do? And so, look, the real deal is, to me, push for impeachment and conviction.
Yep. Yeah.
Which means that if he gets convicted, he can't run for president again.
Exactly. And I'm glad you're repeating that, because that just needs to be repeated over and over so it really does marinate into the frontal lobe of everyone's mind. That is what's going to have the most effect. Reese just laid it out for us a few moments ago, what this propaganda that we've seen that is now posted on Twitter is all about. It is about him continuing to be able to maintain the power that he has within the cult that he has created, right? And so when we look at what mainstream media has done with their participation in really forming the Frankenstein that they have before them, allowing him to call into shows, giving him carte blanche, explaining him away, doing the J.D. Vance, the hillbilly elegy profiles, breathless profiles over and over again over the folks that support him. Whatever the easiest fix is, whatever it is that they can get into the minds of the people that do consume these alphabetic letter shows, to really just kind of say, this is something that's being done and we believe that it can be done. But when you actually have to break it down, listen to it, have it explained to you that it is not as easy as it sounds. And I do believe that some of these people also do know that when that kind of gets into the public discourse, then now what is it that can be done? What can be effective? What can be effective is exactly what you've said, exactly what Dr. Carr said, and that is he said that he was on board with those articles of impeachment that are being drawn up and to go ahead and to move that forward, because what that will do is really damage what he's looking to do, and that is to run again. This is a person who does not see anything wrong with who he is and what he's done, and that he has blatantly ignored the 360,000 souls that are no longer here as a result of a pandemic that is out of control because he showed no leadership, and we still don't have a national strategy. So again, thank goodness for Roland Martin Unfiltered, for people who are smart and that are able to share and roll this out for us. But I think that what this is also going to do just in these last waning days, people just ready for this to be over with. So hopefully, if members are able to draw up those, articles of impeachment and get it done, great. But, to be honest, I think what a lot of people are feeling is, number one, because of what we saw yesterday, we do understand white privilege is definitely something that's threaded into the American soil. We don't see that there'll be any accountability. And then secondly, that people are really wanting for his presidency to be over with so we can just move into really getting a handle on all of these other things that are mounted against us now.
But it's not going away, Reese. It's not going away at all. Donald Trump it will still be there, and these idiots will follow every single thing that he asked them to do.
Yeah, and I think that, he's there to remind the public about how the Republican Party is the biggest threat to the national security and the well-being of this country. Because if you don't have a Trump, then you have a Josh Hawley, you have a Paul Ryan, you have a charismatic, thin, younger white man who, wears nice tailored suits and, is well-spoken and maybe even a little soft-spoken. And so, I love how Dr. Carr has always said, smile at Mike Pence, and he likes for people to show their cards. And I think that's what we have with Trump. Trump is dangerous, so I'm not trying to diminish that. We don't know what the hell he's going to do. He's starting shit with Iran a couple days ago. That's already fallen off everybody's radar. So he's dangerous, and he is a threat. But does the Republican Party get that? Do they have the balls to go against him? You still had 7 people vote against certifying the election in the Senate, and over 100 people in the House. So Donald Trump still has the Republican Party by the balls. To some degree, that could be helpful to the Democrats because he's an egomaniac, and once he's out of office, we have to be worried about him selling state secrets, and things like that. But in terms of the political warfare that he's going to wage in his own party, that's going to be their problem to deal with. So, I don't think that we're going to see any progress on this impeachment. That part is theater. The 25th Amendment stuff is theater. It's these folks trying to rehabilitate their images. Elaine Chao jumping ship, a couple other people jumping ship. It's just all about trying to misdirect the blame away from the people who have been complicit in this administration. But the last thing I will say, though, what I would like to see happen is for the Congress to come back into session to get these Biden-Harris appointees. Because from what I understand, and if I can recall correctly, they're not scheduled to come back until the 19th. That's the day before the inauguration. So there's no chance in hell that we're going to have any appointees confirmed on January 20th. So unless Biden comes in and immediately asks for the resignations of all these people, of all these Trump appointees, they're going to be behind the 8 ball. So listen, if you can get impeachment done, which I doubt, fine, but get back to the business of preparing for the incoming administration. Make sure that Warnock and Ossoff are seated, that Chuck Schumer is the leader, and that we can move on and start getting the Biden-Harris administration situated to address these demands very quickly, because we do not have any more time to spare in the middle of a pandemic.
That's right.
Greg, very simple, and that is this here. What we are looking at, we talk about this all the time. That clip I played from ABC, that was 5 years ago. And part of the problem is that we got this milquetoast ass commentary, even from a lot of black people on mainstream media, because they don't want to speak about whiteness. They don't want to speak about white supremacy and the threat that we're dealing with. The FBI has already said that white domestic terrorism is the greatest threat to the United States. It's these people here we're talking about. And so all of this, hey, let's just turn the page, reconciliation. No, I am unwilling to reconcile with white supremacy. I am not trying to go on and get along. I don't care about Mitt Romney's speech last night. Why? Because Mitt Romney wanted to be Trump's Secretary of State. I don't care about Senator Lindsey Graham saying that he has now accepted the election when he tried to get the votes overturned in Georgia, when he has kissed Trump's ass at every point over the past 4 years. I don't care that Mitch McConnell gave a statesman-like speech. No, I'm not trying to love these people. I've listened to some black commentators on other networks talk about, how we need to embrace the moment and this is a moment of healing. Bullshit. These folks do not want to heal. These people want to kill, steal, and destroy. They do not want to see black people voting. They do not want to see black or Latino folks voting. They want us to go back to where we have slavery without shackles. They do not want to share power. They do not want us to have any control whatsoever. They can't stay. Is how they recently use woke, how they attack us. We're going to talk about that with our next guest after your comment, Greg. This brother was attacked for wearing a dashiki in a courtroom, and he's a damn lawyer. And you saw these folks allow these racist terrorists to come into the U.S. Capitol. No, black folks do not fall for the okie doke. These people are not our friends. They're not our allies. We cannot work with them. Once you show me you choose to work with evil, I am going to take you at your word. Damn, working with you.
You're right. You're right, Roland. And this is why this show, this space, now I just want to echo what Reese has said and what Eric has said. This is the gold standard of conversation right now in media across platforms. Because what we've heard tonight has been a very nuanced, very well thought out discussion of where we are and what the possibilities are. When Chris Metzler says that the Republican Party is basically a bunch of factions, that was a very important statement. And what Reese has said is right, and Erica has said it as well. There's probably very little, if in no possibility of doing 25th Amendment or impeachment. However, this might be an inflection point in American history. They take decades, centuries even to build. But what can you do in this small window before, as you say, the attention span is gone? Simply put, the Justice Department, forget Merrick Garland, look at Kristen Clark and look at Vanita Gupta and look at his deputies and say, you know what? There needs to be a criminal investigation of Trump. That'll keep Trump tied up. Don't put all this off on Letitia James or Carl Racine and them. Rebuild the Civil Rights Division. Go to the FBI. Reform them thoroughly, because the FBI ain't nobody's friend. Let's be clear. Domestic terrorism, all this stuff. You do that now. Set that aside. I thought, interestingly enough, at that rally yesterday, that Trump almost sounded jubilant and relieved. It may be that he doesn't want to run in 2024. But that he wants to retain that power because he ain't nothing but a carnival barker. But as long as he is in the field of play, he freezes the Harleys. He freezes the Cottons in them because they've got to maintain that white nationalist attitude. And that might just be the thing to allow him to do, be under investigation, do this kind of thing. By the way, Roland, where's our man Vernon Jones? Because I saw him out there. He joined the Republican Party on the platform.
Yeah, his punk ass was there. He said he's joining the Republican Party. And I've been in Georgia 5 weeks. Let me just be as clear as possible. I'm trying not to cuss. Some of y'all say I cuss too much. But let me just go ahead and say this. Bitch-ass Vernon Jones hasn't shown up to anywhere I've been in Georgia for the past 5 weeks. And so, yeah, I know my mama and daddy probably ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna say it again. Bitch-ass Vernon Jones hasn't shown up anywhere. And guess what? Angela Stanton, your trifling ass ain't said nothing. Bruce Lavelle, your trifling ass ain't saying nothing. Alveda King, I want to know, where are you with your Christian talk about what happened yesterday? All y'all punk ass black MAGA people who are running around saying who y'all voted for him. Yeah, Malik Abdul. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Paris Denard. All y'all. Y'all all supported a racist, sexist, thieving, lying SOB who will unleash hate on this country, and y'all wanted 4 more years of that trash. That's why I don't want to hear a damn thing from nobody who was a part of the 74 million. To me, there are 2 lines, the 74 or the 81. Which one of those were you in? Now, if you didn't vote, yeah, it should have been with the 81, but fine, I ain't gonna dog you too much, but I will still cuss you out. But if you part of the 74 million who voted for Trump, y'all can go to hell, because y'all wanted 4 more years of this evil.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Because what we are dealing with here, folks, we are dealing with one of the most serious situations that we have seen in this nation in recent years. I need everybody who's watching me right now to understand, this is not the end. Listen to me clearly. This is not the end. This will not be the last time we see this happen. What Donald Trump and the Republican Party has done is they have weaponized hate. They have weaponized evil. And then you take the conservative media. You take the conservative media and you take what they do. And you take how, for them, this is about patriotism and democracy. No, it's not. What this is about is they cannot handle black people and Latino people and Asian people, Native American people, non-white folks voting in this country. See, we have been, not on this show, not my guests, not my panelists, but mainstream media in white America has been playing footsie, playing games over the past several years. They have written pieces where they've said that this is no big deal, y'all are making a big deal out of this. Oh no, Trump didn't mean that with his tweets. Now we know he meant every single thing. And there's some troubling issues here. There's some troubling issues that we want to talk about. Today, on the Joe Madison Show on Sirius XM Radio, Congressman Jim Clyburn was on. And here we go to my iPad. This is what the congressman said today. Something else was going on here, Joe. My office, if you don't know where it is, you ain't going to find it by accident. Folks, just so you know, I've been to Congressman Clyburn's office, and let me tell you, it was difficult getting to his office, and he's 100% right. You're not going to find his office by accident. He said the one place where my name is on the door, that office is right on Statuary Hall. They didn't touch that door, but they went into that other place where I do most of my work. They showed up there harassing my staff. How did they know to go there? How come they didn't go where my name was? They went where you won't find my name. But they found where I was supposed to be. So something else was going on untoward here. Folks, this is Congressman Jim Clyburn clearly implying that this was an inside job. This is Congressman Jim Clyburn clearly implying that there were people who worked on the inside of Capitol Hill who likely were police who were directing people where to go. Folks, I need y'all to understand, I have been to that office he's talking about. It is not an easy office to find. You wouldn't just automatically go to that particular office. Those folks were directed to that office. I'm going to show you this clip right here. I want you to listen to what the Capitol Hill police officer says, and I think he's black. He says you can disagree with it, they respect it. Listen to this, listen.
Come on. You can disagree with it, but respect it. Come on.
I want y'all to count here. I want you to count the number of cops standing here holding the door open. 4 of them. 4 of them.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. But let's just be honest. What these people are also angry about, they're angry because black people participated in democracy. They're angry that black people in DeKalb County and Fulton County were the ones who put Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff over the top in Georgia, and that's how they are going to be 2 United States senators. They're angry because Donald Trump was pissed off that voters in Fulton County did not voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They are angry, led by Donald Trump and Republicans, because of black voters in Philadelphia, in Detroit, in Milwaukee. This whole shenanigan today, this whole sideshow when it comes to the electors was all because Donald Trump and the Republican Party are pissed off that black people wholesale rejected him and caused his defeat. And that's what we are seeing. We are seeing in 2021, white Americans do the exact same thing they did in previous eras when black people went to the polls and voted for their interest.
First of all, Roland, thank you for having me on. I couldn't agree more. And I think the fact that we're seeing this happen on this day, the day after this historic election in Georgia, where you had turnout among black voters, that there was only one other election in this country, in the history of this country, in any state where more black voters went to the polls, and that was the general election in Georgia, where Joe Biden carried it. So this was the second highest turnout among black voters in any election in any state in the United States history. So to see this happening today, I think you're exactly right. I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial that has been put forth by this president, but not just the president, his enablers, for the past 4 years. And this was always going to be the inevitable conclusion. We saw this, but the Republican Party humored him along the way. They not only humored him, they promoted his lies. They gave them credibility. And so these people come to Washington unable to believe the reality, which was this coalition that defeated Donald Trump, led by voters of color, that flipped states like Georgia and Arizona and delivered these blue wall states of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan. They couldn't possibly believe that to be true, despite the fact that now over 70 court cases have been put in front of various courts, many of them in front of judges appointed by Donald Trump, and every single one of them has been rejected. There's no evidence, but that hasn't stopped them. And it's just this violent denial. And again, I think it's just the inevitable effect that we're seeing today. And it's sad.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.